All right, we'll get into a little bit of news, other news from last week. This was actually over the weekend that this was released. According to a HISA spokesperson, jockey Paco Lopez has been conditionally reinstated after his indefinite suspension. If you'll remember, Paco was suspended for at a race at Parks, striking a horse in the face after the race was over. Now, the horse had been bearing out throughout the entire stretch, but had slowed to a walk after the wire. And it clearly, obviously, was him just being frustrated. And I'll just quote from the release here. It says, today, the Horse Racing Integrity and Safety Authority announced that Paco Lopez will be reinstated on a conditional basis effective January 23rd, following his indefinite suspension on December 4th for striking a horse with a riding crop in a manner of violation of HISA's rules. Lopez has met all conditions required for reinstatement, demonstrating his commitment to upholding the standards of conduct and integrity expected of participants in horse racing. During his suspension, Lopez participated in required therapy sessions, which he has pledged to continue, and made sizable donations to the Permanently Disabled Jockeys Fund and Second Call Thoroughbred Adoption and Placement. There's a quote from Lisa in here. It says he's expressed remorse and a desire to return to riding with a renewed understanding of the responsibility that comes with the privilege of working horses. I hope that's all true, and that Paco is willing to, turn over a new leaf. I find it hard to believe because he's been kind of a jerk over the years with the way he rides, and then with this latest incident. I would have loved to see a quote from Paco in that press release. I just think that in general, when like the suspended party is returning to their profession, it's good to have a statement, a quote of remorse or contrition or something. Because the way it reads now, it's kind of just like, well, this was like a behind closed doors discussion and decision making process. But I hope they're right, and I hope that Paco he's kind of had a come to Jesus moment. Because I do appreciate that the suspension was indefinite. It wasn't 3 days. It wasn't 7 days. It wasn't even 30 days. So we'll have the HISA Next Gen meeting later today. So I'm going to be curious to ask about like what the specific conditions were. I guess the donations and the therapy were part of it, but I would love to hear more about those actual discussions back and forth between Paco and his representatives and HISA. So, like I said, I do think it's good that we had someone step in and actually put the foot down and tell Paco, this is not going to fly. I just wish there had been a quote from Paco, and hopefully there's a change in behavior. So we'll see. I'm skeptical.
Yeah, and Joe, I got a lot of pushback from people because we've used Paco before, and we've used him at Monmouth, and we used him on Hades, and people I think were surprised when we came out and announced that we weren't going to ride Paco. And the reason being, it wasn't because of that one incident. If you look at HISA's website, or you if you tweet PETA Paco Lopez, there's articles in there that will show you that he's been he's been disciplined 10 different times since HISA's existence on whip violations. 10 different times. Okay, I didn't realize it was that many. Before that, before the institution of HISA, he was known as a rough rider. He is known as an aggressive rider. He's gotten into fisticuffs with other members of the jockey colony. And not surprisingly so. Now, some people could say, hey, that's aggressive riding. I like aggressive race riding. I want to use him. I know there are certain horses that he, partnered well with of ours, because he is a strong rider. It doesn't mean that he's, that he's manipulating horses and making them do things they don't want to do. But it means that he's basically showing a horse, hey, I'm in charge, and you're going to follow my lead. That does not in any way, shape, or form, please understand, does not in any way, shape, or form constitute that he should be hitting horses aggressively, excessively, or after the wire, 20 seconds after the wire, as was the case at Parks just 45 days ago. The other thing I'm a little perplexed about is it took Paco a long time to get to this point in his mind and his life, as far as being a crop abuser. Okay, that's my term, not anybody else's official term. But 10 times in 2 years is a lot, I think. And I find it hard to believe that in 6 weeks he has had this come to Jesus moment and is going to be a kinder, gentler, safer rider. I think the proof will be in the pudding. He's got a long runway ahead of him, as far as I'm concerned, before we would even consider putting him on horses again. I came out immediately and said, we're not going to ride him at all. I still stand by that. There's no reason to ride somebody with that mindset. Now, if months and years go by and it seems like that he is a better person and a gentler rider, and doesn't have any issues, I think everyone deserves a second chance. But it's not going to be on my horses for a long time.
How many chances is this? This is not a second chance.
Yeah, I hear you.
This is maybe 100 second chance.
I hear you, and that's again, why I'm standing by the ban, our personal ban. But I just find it hard to believe that somebody can change their ways in 6 weeks, especially with 2 of them being holiday weeks anyway. So he wasn't really going to be working then. It's kind of like when jockeys get a 3-day suspension and they start on a Monday. It's like, oh,
right.
Okay, well, you're really giving up a lot. But listen, those are the rules. And I'm sure from a legal standpoint, that there was some negotiations going on as far as what constitutes a worthwhile suspension without having to go to the courtroom on it, because God knows that Heise's got way too many fires in the courtroom. Most of them aren't their fault, but they've got way too many fires and irons in the fire from a legal standpoint. And I'm sure that they were looking at this and saying, okay, if he really is going to anger management, or he really is going to classes, and he's really, focused on trying to make himself a better person and a better rider in that order, then, who are we to say that 45 days isn't the right amount versus 60 days or 20 days? I think indefinite kind of left it open for their discretion. And I'm sure there was a meeting of the minds between Paco's counsel and Heise as far as what steps had to be made, other than just making a couple of donations and going to some classes. But I really, because I believe in the human spirit, I really genuinely hope that Paco is getting better and that he isn't going to have an issue anymore on the racetrack. I'm just going to sit back and wait and see before I dip my toe in the water.
Yeah, and I'm curious to know whether or not, is he out of strikes now? What if he does commit a similar violation in the near future? What are the repercussions be? What is the fallout going to be? What is the justice going to be? Because this horse deserved justice. And the other thing that we didn't talk about at the time that would really gross me out was
the trainer,
Jorge Duarte, getting on Twitter and defending Paco. Are you watching the same race that I'm watching, dude? Because this was after the wire and the horse had stopped to a walk. There was an outrider right there.
Right.
I generally don't try to criticize jockeys because I'm not on the back of the horse. I don't know what they're feeling. They put themselves in a lot of danger. But this seemed very plainly like a circumstance where the danger had passed.
Yeah.
And he was just frustrated and lashing out. And I was stunned to see the trainer defending him.
Right. What was good, Joe, and I'm going to try to find it while we're talking. What was really good was that the owner immediately came out and said, "This isn't good." Let me just bear with me a second.
Yeah. So the horse was owned by Colts Neck Stable. So that's Richard Santulli, legendary New Jersey breeding and racing operation. Alan Goldberg used to be the trainer for them, and it's been Jorge Duarte for the last 10, 15 years or so.
Here's the quote: owner, Colts Neck Stable, owner of National Law, the horse in question, who Duarte trains for. Quote: "We do not agree with the action he," meaning Paco, took, nor Jorge Duarte's opinions on how the situation was handled. A statement from Colts Neck Stable read in the press release. So I was happy to see that the owner came out and was like, "No, that's not cool. That's my horse. That was definitely not the right thing to do. And I don't think my trainer was, my trainer was not speaking for me in this situation."
And for a guy who only has one client, I think it would have been smart to consult with the owner before popping off on Twitter.
You would think so. Yeah, it wasn't even like somebody threw a microphone in his face as the horse was going into the winner's circle asking him a question. He had to actually sit down and think about what he was going to write, put it on his phone, and hit send. That's like 3 safety rails that he went right around in order to make that call. No, he didn't lose his job, and he didn't get, as far as anyone knows, he didn't get fined or anything like that. But yeah, that was not a good look. That was definitely not a good look by the trainer, who I think was a former rider, wasn't he himself?
Yeah, I think so. And it was stunning. honestly, even if you thought that, which I don't know how you could think that, like how tone deaf is it to get on Twitter when everybody is like got the bullseye on Paco and say, well, actually, it was completely justified.
Right. Exactly.
And but it's fine. I mean, we listen, like only Heiza knows and Paco knows like what those conversations were. If I get any more details, like I can share them. But like I said, I just want to make, does he get another 20 chances? Like or is he kind of on his last legs here because he's put a lot of people in danger and he's hurt horses.
Right.
And I don't think that we should stand for it if we can.
And I think what's going to happen, Joe, is you're going to see that other jockeys are going to take advantage of this. Other jockeys are going to put Paco in precarious situations, maybe not in harm's way, but certainly in difficult situations, and see how he can get through it. And it's going to take a lot more mental toughness by him to get through this. So I genuinely do hope that he's a stronger, better person now, because he's going to need to be, especially in this jockey colony, deep jockey colony of professionals down in Florida.
The other thing too, and this is just a personal pet peeve of mine, if we could get him to stop looking sideways coming to the wire, that drives me crazy when he's in a close driving finish and he's looking to the side. Just put your head down and ride, bro. Please.
Is he winking? Is he giving you the wink, Joe? Like,
he might as well be giving me the fucking bird.